Well, yesterday we spoke about it being a year to the day since the release of Black Adam, and we spoke about what might have been. Well, it's just about over a year since James Gunn was announced as the co-CEO of DC Studios, basically the showrunner of this DC brand new cinematic universe. But it's not just the cinematic universe, we're talking about gaming, television, streaming, and movies for the cinema. It's huge, and we've asked the question so many times, is James Gunn capable of doing this? Well, we're soon going to find out, because soon, James, the talk is going to have to stop, and we're going to have to see the action, and we're going to have to see if you're capable of doing this. Time will tell. The proof of the food is in the tasting, right? So once we've tasted what you've got to offer next year, for example, with Creature Commandos, we can have more of an opinion if you're capable of doing this. So he's been very active on Threads, and he's been talking about DC Universe and Superman Legacy. He says Superman Legacy will be the foundations of DCU. So this is an obvious statement to make, that Superman Legacy will be the foundations of DC Universe, because it's the first film. It has to set a foundation of the franchise. It's a very difficult balancing act James Gunn has got here, because not only does he have to make a great Superman movie, he has to launch a franchise as well. He has to do two things at the same time. So yes, he does need to set a foundation for the future. He does need to world build. Can he do it? We'll have to wait and see. Now, he's also said that tonally, DC Universe will be different with each project. Now, a lot of people won't agree with this, but I don't agree that a franchise should have tonal consistency. Why? Because if I lived in Egypt and I was used to having sand all around me, then I came on holiday for a couple of weeks to London town, and it would be ridiculous for me to start complaining that there's no sand in London town. Do you get it? OR, tonally, where, the Green Lantern Korra has to be different tonally than Metropolis. It's obvious, right? I never really understood Feige's, strictness in tonal consistency in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I didn't think that makes sense. Now, for me, like the tone and the color palettes are not important. I'm too busy watching the movie, either enjoying it or hating it or thinking it's mid and boring. I ain't got no time to care about, the tonal consistency or the color palettes of a movie. It isn't important to me. But I think what Gunn is saying he's going to do here works, because you don't have tonal consistency from one universe to the other. Because the DC universe consists of different universes, different planets, the multiverse. It can't be tonally consistent. It just wouldn't work. And that's why I agree with James Gunn here. So, each film will have its own colour, its own tone. For example, the tone of Superman Legacy will be very different to the tone in Brave and the Bold. I'm assuming Brave and the Bold will be a lot more cartoony. It'll be a lot more fantastical than, for example, The Batman or Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. Batman is desperate for a fantastical Batman. The Batman world, the Batman universe is desperate for some fantastical elements, because we've not really had them in Batman movies, because their directors are obsessed with grittiness and realism. And I'm kind of getting a little bit, dragged down by realism in my Batman movies. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Matt Reeves, the Batman. I love him as a director. I love what Tim Burton did, and I love what Christopher Nolan did. But we don't have a lot of fantastical directors out there today, and that's a problem. That's the lack of variety Hollywood has today, and that needs to change. So you do need to have different tones in each movie, in each TV series, even when it comes to the gaming. So I agree with James Gunn here. Each movie needs to have its own tone, and I think its own identity as well. Because what James Gunn is really reaching for here is a movie making its own statement, being its own thing instead of it being a continuous setup for the next movie.